Welcome back, guys. This is Adam Facenda, your host of Anchors and Eagles. And today we're going to talk a little bit about something that struck me pretty interesting while I was at church on Sunday.
Anchors and Eagles brings listeners into the studio with host Adam Facenda, a tattoo artist turned story chaser. And now, on to the show.
Pastor David said something and made me start to reflect on what's going on in the world. He mentioned something to the effect of how people are acting in the climate of politics right now. And I'm going to touch base on this, on politics. I don't think we're really wrapping our mind around exactly what we're all getting ourselves involved in, right? So when I was younger, man, I was really into politics. I mean, probably since the age of 18, maybe a little bit younger. I've been always interested in politics, not as running, but as who was running back then. When I was a kid, I always looked at politics as a guy looking for a job. Now, what's gone on since I would say COVID time is there's been an uprising in violence, and I would definitely say people are basing their violence off of politics. And then in 2020, or while that was going on with the Black Lives Matter and all the racially motivated stuff that was going on in the world, and the fact that people were rioting. Sorry, they weren't rioting. They were protesting very flamboyantly, burning down buildings and stuff like that. Pretty amazing. What I think is amazing about that is my mother, she was a hippie. So protesting looked a little different to me when I was growing up. I didn't see protesting as burning down your own neighborhood. My father saw stuff on a different side because he was a biker. He would tell me about the LA riots back in the 70s, I think it was, or the 60s, riots back then. But there's one common factor to all this, and it's not left, and it's not right, and it's not center. In my opinion, mind you guys, it's all just, I have no facts to anything right now. This is just surely my opinion, and this is for entertainment. So please, if you don't like what I have to say, I understand. That's fine. But you're listening to me for a reason. I think the politicians have figured out a way to get us more separated. See, whenever you're from the age of 18 to, I would say, 25 or 26, you're just discovering what it's like to be free from your parents, right? You're discovering that you have to pay for your own stuff, and times are hard. Things are hard. And if you're a younger person listening to this, I would always suggest that you listen to other people outside of your family. I would suggest that you listen to people that are older than you, that might have had a little bit more experience to life, and just listen. I'm not saying to take their opinions and run with it or live by their rules or anything like that. What I am saying is, if you surround yourself around smarter people than you are, you're going to get smarter. But if you're going to surround yourself around people that are outgoing, you're going to see that you're going to become outgoing. Surrounding yourself around older people that have experienced life is only beneficial to you. That's what I kind of did my whole life. I always hung out with the older guys. And when I say older guys, I'm not saying I was in my 20s and they were 25 or 30 years old. I always hung out with guys that were in their 40s and their 50s, And the reason why I did that is because I always knew that they had more experience. They knew the tricks to getting around things. They knew how, my father was a mechanic, so he knew every which way you could take care of something or fix something. And I listened to him. As much as he said I didn't listen to him, I did. And I'm sure your parents think the same thing of you, or said that before. And if not, you were so blessed. And you were smart to listen to your parents and show that you were listening to your parents. But one thing that I see that's in common with everything that's been going on since 2020 is the youth. Youth is angry. So angry. As you know, at this time, I'm 45 at this time, and I'm like, man, these kids are so angry. And I'm like, whoa, I just said kids. Have I hit that age that I see these as children? And rightfully so, they are. They're very young people. And here's the thing, we don't grow up in a college town. We all start living and not worrying about things. Some kids go away to college, but for the most adults in America, we leave the house of our parents and then we just grind and work and try to figure out our lives. There's one thing that I notice about this movement. It's not a movement of the left or a right. It's the movement of the youth. And what the youth is being fed is total garbage. Now, hear me out. What's total garbage in my mind is let them think that they can't be successful, to let them think that it's because of where you grew up that you won't be able to make money. It won't be because you couldn't go to college. All these things, or even going to college and them saying how, yeah, you'll never make it. There's such no, life is such a struggle. Life is such a struggle. And yes, life is a struggle. Life is a struggle. I mean, for some of us, our whole lives, but very much so as a young adult, 18, 19, just living out on your own for the first time. And you're paying your own bills, and it's things, your job isn't that great. You don't have an opportunity to make the money that you're seeing everybody on Instagram and all these social media platforms, TikTok, it's all fake. It's all fake. And these kids are just angry. Like, why can't I have these things? I want these things. My parents weren't good enough to me, this and that and the other thing. And I mean, I think every generation has said that. I'm looking back at it now, and I hope some of this helps you. As an older man looking at a younger man, we see the youth, we see everything that slipped away from us. As a middle-aged man looking at younger people, we still have that fire in us. And we're still kind of agreeing, but we also have to accept that we're moving into a different season of our lives, a season that is more grounded. I see all this turmoil with these young people, and they're angry. And if you really think about it, you were angry. You're angry, and you're filled with fire when you're a kid and as an older person. And it could be 30 up, and you can look at these people and you're like, oh, these kids are acting like fools. And then you get on there and you keyboard warrior it up, and you argue with these kids, and they're telling you you're wrong and you're the man, and you're right, you're wrong. And then some people just agree with them, just not to hear like the argument, because the older you get, the less you want to argue about, more you just want to live. And it's funny because when you're young, you're just living, you don't even understand that there's consequences yet. And just sit back and I think about these things, and I think what we need to start doing, and it's something I'm going to start doing, is not trying to understand the youth as much as understand that I was once young, I was once angry. I never blamed anyone of my misfortune, though. I guess because you grow up with older people, or you hang around older men and women, that you just see life in a different perspective. I think all I gained from being around those people led me to success without ever having a high school diploma. And some of you that are listening right now, I'm not downing you for going to college or anything like that. I just grew up in a different era. I also grew up with a different mentality. I'm Italian on my father's side, and being Italian is more about family and more about love and loving your family and sticking together with your family. And that's what I did. I started working for my father at a very, very young age, probably 15, 16 years old. And I dropped out at 16 years old. But I didn't see the world like everybody else. Mind you, I'm hanging around with people that work for a living, so I know it's going to be rough. All I want to do is get out there and make money, be an entrepreneur, do something. But I knew I was young, so no one would take me serious as an entrepreneur. So I worked for my father, for his business, eventually that he lost. And I was angry. I was in the streets. I was fighting against racism. My past is very unpleasant to think about, who I was as a young man. But when I look at these young people, I see myself in them. I see the anger, but the problem is the people that they're listening to, these older people, all have agendas, and these agendas are not good. And I don't care what side of the fence you hang out on, or if you just sit on the fence. I think they're trying to tear us all apart. Maybe as an older person, when you see someone upset, you maybe should pull them aside and say, hey, what's going on, man? Talk to me. My last podcast, I talked about a little child on a beach crying because there was probably sand in his eye or in his food or something like that. My instinct was to be like, oh man, it gets a lot tougher, kid. There's gonna be a lot of sand in your life, But if the older generation isn't telling the younger generation, it can get harder, but it also gets a lot better. And the only thing we see in them is their youth, and we wish we could have that youth. And what they see in us is the stability, but then they think they have all the answers. And it's funny, we all thought we had all the answers back when we were kids. We all thought we were invincible. We thought our parents were stupid. They don't know anything. That's not how the world works. And shortly after that, you find out my parents actually knew a lot more than you thought. I remember calling my dad up and apologizing to my dad about things. I gave him such a hard time, and that wasn't fair. Because I look back on things in my life now, And I catch myself saying the things they used to say to me. Oh, Desert Storm happened and I freaked out. And I told my dad, we're going to go to war. This is bad, blah, blah, blah. My father told me, son, you live in the greatest country in the world. No one's going to mess with us. And I was like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. And he was right. But I remember thinking, my dad's blind to this. Like, why can't he see what I see? Why? Because even back then, the fear-mongering was there. A lot of stuff is going on right now. Charlie Kirk was killed, assassinated. And right away we went to saying, this side, that side. The kid that killed him was MAGA. Oh no, he's a transgender, and turns out his significant other was transgender. And it's just like, it's crazy how fast we jumped to sides, and no one took into factor that maybe no one sat this gentleman down and said, hey, life's going to get a lot harder. What you're really upset about is the stuff that you don't understand. And I mean, I have friends right now that don't understand. I refer to AI as much as possible when it comes to any of this political stuff, because I want to know what's truly in a bill. I want to know what's truly being said by one side or the other. But it doesn't really matter because they're just trying to keep their jobs. I find that really, really insane that people are so amplified about picking a side when we're the people. It doesn't matter your politics. We're all people. And I can't get over that. I've been caught up in it too. My whole life, I've been caught up in certain things where it's my side, your side, my side, your side. My opinion versus your opinion. And to be honest with you, you never know when you're right or wrong. When I was growing up, our history books said one thing, and now I'm older, and I know that some of our history books were wrong because no one had discovered exactly what the history of a certain time was, or maybe something changed, or, Christopher Columbus was a hero when I was growing up, and then it turns out he was a terrible man when I got older. So maybe this kid that shot Charlie, he was just getting amped up from an emotion that he couldn't even control. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there like that. You see it all over social media right now. And it's like just another thing to divide us. And I talk to a friend all the time now. We grew up together in the streets. And his views and my views are completely different. But at the end of every conversation we have, we always let each other know that we love each other and we value each other's opinion, even if we're so far apart from each other. And it's probably the healthiest my relationship has been with this person ever. I think that's beautiful. If we could all start talking to each other more, I think there were a lot of things that we can fix in our lives. This podcast started a year ago because I wanted to make a difference in my industry. And then it went dormant. And now I'm back. And I don't know what direction I want to go in. And there's just things I don't want to create a podcast that's all about gotcha moments and my political views. I started this back up because of mental health and getting to catch up with some buddies. And I think the conversations organically are going to be so much better. They already are, the ones I have had. But I really wanted to take this podcast and talk about how, whatever age you're at, remember one time you were young. And if you're a young person, one day I hope you grow to be old and look back on your life and have gray hairs and understand that life wasn't so serious. It didn't have to be so serious at certain times. And the things that you think were serious 10 years ago aren't so serious now. I've used that a lot in my life. Whenever I'm going through something or a friend's going through something, I always tell them when they think it's the worst, I always tell them, is this going to affect you in 10 years? Because if it is, then it's something that's very important. But if this isn't going to affect you in 10 years, then let it go. You're wasting too much energy on it. And I have to remind myself of this all the time. Relationships with your loved ones and your partners, that can affect you in 10 years from now. So those things are very serious. And if you're hearing my voice, take them very serious. But there's a lot of things out there that aren't. And I would say 89% of the stuff you see on Instagram and TikTok and YouTube that are getting you amplified or making you enraged isn't going to affect you in 10 years. You might think so. I've seen a lot of presidents come and go. We lived through some good ones. We lived through some terrible ones in my life. But the world kept turning. And more focused on what I needed to do, the quieter the politics became. And I know I'm one to watch, like I said in the beginning of this podcast, I'm one to watch a lot of politics. It's because I just want to know what's going on. And so much more now is because I'm a businessman. Being a businessman, you kind of like, you want to see where the economy is going to go. You want to see what the future looks like. Do I sign a longer lease? Do I move locations? All these things as a business person. And I will say every president that's ever been in office has changed something, not for the better necessarily. I always think that a lot of these politicians are creating something to secure their jobs. Now, I'm sure every one of them got into politics because they wanted to help their country. They love their country. I'm sure that is. I'm sure every one of them, when they were young and full of fire and like in their 20s and 30s, I'm going to be a mayor. I'm going to be a governor. I'm going to be. And then the power steps in. With power comes all these people that want to help sway what direction you're going in. It's kind of like, and we all see it. I mean, musicians, actors, sports people, they get bought up by these bigger companies and they do these commercials like, hey, buy this shoe, buy this, whatever, fishing rod, buy. And they get sucked up into it to the point where they're just, oh, how much money are you going to give me? How much money? Yeah, I'll say whatever you need. And I don't think anyone is immune to that when the amount of money that's being thrown at them. And I mean, this goes throughout politics on both sides. This isn't just a one-sided situation. And when you sit around and think about what's going on in the world, really take a step back. It's insane. It's pure insanity. We, the people, we're the ones that can vote people in and vote people out. Me personally, I want to live in the freest country possible. I want to live in the fairest country possible. But that doesn't happen by being quiet about your beliefs and talking to people about your beliefs. The thing is, people are starting to become afraid to talk about what they truly believe in their truth. And that's really sad. I mean, I do it sometimes. Sometimes really quiet when a certain kind of client comes in and is just spouting off and saying ridiculous stuff. But you know what? They paid for the time that they are here in the tattoo shops. So be it. As long as they're not hurting anyone here. And I mean, we've had some real class acts come through here. Eric's had some clients that sometimes I just set them off just to see what would happen, like a grenade, you know? I found that funny, but now I don't find it very funny. We always say in the tattoo shop, you leave your politics and your religion at the door because no one wants to talk about those two things because it's always created an argument. When I had a pub, it was the same thing. We don't talk about politics or religion in the bar because people get heated. And what are we doing right now, people? People are hurting each other about politics. And they're only hurting me because they're taking a side to a person that they don't even know. And that person's getting paid by a bigger company to say the things that they're saying. And then you're buying into it. I just want to be safe. I just want to be free. I want to be able to speak my mind whenever I want, as long as it's not hurting anyone. I want to see this violence stop. Because the thing that no one understands, if you're not a violent person and you don't come from a violent past, is you were hurting. Someone was hurting you, or you got hurt, or something really hurt you, and you wanted to hurt the world, right? And you just want to hurt everything around you. And then later on in life, you have nothing but regret and depression, PTSD. You go through these things, and it's just like, and in a minute, you just want to tear the world down. You want to tear it down with your bare hands. And I don't know if you're a guy that's listening to this that used to fight a lot or trains or whatever, but that adrenaline dump afterwards is the worst. I don't know if you guys had it, but mine was really bad. I would literally shake afterwards, uncontrollably. Sometimes I would cry because I would say to myself, look what you made me do to you. And it wasn't that. That was literally something my father would say to me. So all these kids are hurting right now. They don't even know why, or maybe they do know why. Maybe they're hiding in a closet about something they were super embarrassed about. Or maybe they just never amounted up to what their parents thought they would amount up to. Or maybe they didn't get enough attention, and how they got attention was by creating havoc. Who knows? I restarted this podcast because of mental health. And I look around and I just see so much hurt and so much pain and so much anger. And I'm going to tell you this right now, that anger has not left me yet, but I work on it constantly. I think everyone should. My anger issues came from me being beat a lot as a child, because that's how I saw my father handling things. Made me really tough, though. Who cares about being tough now? I know I'm tough. I know I could take a beating. I know I could take a lot of pain. But the thing about pain and getting your ass whooped is that pain goes away. The destruction inside your brain never goes away, though. The regret never goes away. I talk to God about this all the time. All the time. I know I'm forgiven. And it's so crazy because it's been so hard to forgive myself of my past. If you're one of those people that are having the same struggle too, feel free to reach out to me. I mean, I don't read a lot of books, but I've read some. I might not have all the answers to the world, but I think I'm doing pretty good because I'm still here. What you're seeing on social media and TikTok or any kind of platform, Instagram, whatever social media platform you're watching, and it's invoking fear into you, stop watching it. Turn it off. If it's making you want to become violent, turn it off. It's no good for you. You don't have to be a tough guy to make change. First, you gotta look inside yourself and accept that you need to change. I don't care what age you are. You have to accept that you need to make a change. And you have to accept that you can be a better person. And don't ever let anyone say that you can't be a better person. Don't ever let anyone say you can't change. No one can determine that but you. I'm sorry this one got dark. It's just really been hard. I didn't know Charlie Kirk. I just watched some of his stuff on the platforms that he was on. You didn't have to completely agree with him to know that he was a person that spoke his own truth. It's only someone's truth until their mind has been changed. And that's what's crazy is this guy said we need to talk more. We need to have more open conversations. I guarantee if we start having more open conversations, you would find out that we have a lot more in common than you think you know. The person that you're arguing with on Instagram or Facebook or wherever you're arguing with somebody about politics, you probably have more in common than you thought. I think every human has a little bit of sadness in them. Some have a little bit more than others. Some of them don't know how to let go of that sadness. Some of them think that they're trapped in that sadness. Some of them think that I'm so sick of hurting. I just want to hurt people. Like the old saying, hurt people, hurt people. I think if we started having open conversations or just conversations in general without texting, without social media platforms, I think we'd start to come back together as humans, as we the people. Look, we are living in a crazy, crazy times. We don't have to go along with the crazy. We can become sane. We can say this isn't right and I need to make a change. I need to stop arguing with somebody that I care about. I need to stop making everything about something political. I need to stop whatever it is, whatever negative thing is going through your head. I need to stop thinking that my job is the worst job in the world. My boss is the worst boss in the world. Everything's so terrible. You're alive. You're alive. And I think some people don't understand that. If it had enough loss in your life, you start to look at things a lot different. And the more you lose and the more you understand how fragile life is, the more you want peace. It's crazy. I want everyone to live in peace. I pray for everyone. Every time I pray for the people that have touched my heart and I've touched theirs. I pray for you guys. And my prayers are to find peace and happiness. If you're listening to this and I don't know you, I wish you peace and happiness. I hope that you understand that people are programming us to hate each other and not love each other. I think as true Christians, or a true Christian, love is the basis to everything. I'm not saying you have to be best friends with your enemy. I'm saying you shouldn't have any enemies at all. If someone's attacking you, I think you should defend yourself. But if someone's hurting your feelings, you can just walk away. You don't necessarily have to hurt their feelings back. Maybe you have to understand that they're probably just hurting as well, and they don't know how to express themselves in those moments. As I sign off, I want you guys to know that this podcast is going to take some turns. That being said, I just want you guys to love each other and live in peace and happiness. And I think everyone listening to this would want the same thing. We don't have to fight with our neighbors. We don't have to fight with everyone possible on social media. And we don't always have to be right. We just have to be kind to each other. Let's start having conversations. Let's start listening instead of talking. I don't know who it is. I think I was watching some great businessman. And he said, some of the best deals I've ever made was when I stopped talking and I started listening. And I think we need to do a little bit of both. My problem is I just don't know when to listen. And I'm really working on that. Thank you for listening to Anchors and Eagles. I'm Adam Facenda. I hope you have a wonderful, beautiful day and a wonderful, peaceful life. And I'll catch you next time. If you have a chance, please follow us on Instagram. Please follow us on YouTube or Spotify or wherever you're hearing this. And give us a thumbs up or just a positive review. I'd really appreciate it. Until next time, guys. Peace.